Welcome back, YouTube. This is Not Too Casual, and I am your host, Jamin Sazin. Now today, I want to be a little bit narcissistic and talk about myself. Now, if you didn't know, I'm a fashion designer. I absolutely love it, and I want to talk about how I got started, what I've done, what I'm doing, and where I'm going in the future. I also want to give you some tips and tricks and recommendations just in case you've been thinking about being a designer. And I also just want to talk about various aspects of the profession. Now, before we get into it, make sure you like, share, and leave your 2 cents in the comment section. And hopefully I can earn your subscription with this video. Without further ado, let's talk about it. Okay, so let's talk about the humble beginnings on how I became a fashion designer. Now, since I was a kid, I've always took a lot of pride in my personal appearance. My parents taught me that, my father and my mother. And my mother had this famous quote that I will always repeat. She always told me, "Jamin, make sure you look good everywhere you go, even when you're going to bed." And that's just what I do. People always asking me, am I going to church? What am I dressed up for? It's just something I've always done. Now, being a designer, I did not grow up sewing. My mom did have a sewing machine. She made a few things growing up, but I never took on that skill. I never wanted to learn anything like that. But I did take a lot of pride in my personal appearance, like I've said. Now, once I got older and I started making money, of course, I love to shop. I like to put together different outfits, different materials, different accessories, and all things of the such. Now, I remember specifically, I would go shopping and people would always ask me, where did I get whatever particular article of clothing that they were talking about at the time? And I'm like, guys, I shop at the same places you guys shop at. I'm wearing the same things that's on the rack. So I started to think that I had developed a certain eye for this because I was just shopping at Zara, H&M, Express, things of that nature, Guess. And I would just be able to find those hidden gems, those jewels that like, oh, I can put this with that in such a unique manner. Now, I remember going on a certain spell of time it was about 2 or 3 years where I could not find what I wanted to wear. So I just started purchasing things and then altering them in a certain way, whether or not it would be the material, the buttons. I would put things on, take things off, and I just had to make things my own. And then I got this bright idea. What if I bought the fabric, the zippers, the buttons, and a sewing machine, and I made everything myself? So that's what I did. 2009 was when I first started the brand. It's when I first started Ceziru. Now, it wasn't in the greatest of situations because I started it with 3 other people and we immediately had creative differences. Let's just say that. So there were too many pots on the stove, so everything got put on the back burner. Everybody went on and lived their own lives. I did the same, and then I got to a crossroads in life, guys. Everything had fallen apart for me in life. I was in a huge depression, and I had come to a crossroads, and I had to figure out what was I going to do next with my life. It was a tough time. And at that time, honestly, I had visited 4 or 5 different fashion schools in the past decade. I never pulled that trigger. But this was when I finally pulled that trigger. And I was like, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to make that move. I'm going to be a designer. So I upped the move and I enrolled myself in a fashion school. I quickly learned that it was a huge waste of time and money. So I dropped out and I taught myself how to sew. I went to YouTube University because everything's on YouTube that you want to know, you can find out. And taught myself how to sew. And also shout out to the old ladies at the place that I bought my sewing machine because they offered free basic classes as long as you bought your sewing machine there. So shout out to you ladies. And And then quickly I was like, you know what? I taught myself how to sew. Now I need to be in a fashion show. I wanted to fast track everything, right? So I looked around and like being in a fashion show is expensive. It costs anywhere from like $1,000 to up to 10 grand from the things I've seen. So I was like, you know what? I am a struggling artist, which let me tell you something. Being a fashion designer is we're a struggling artist also. The only difference is we have to look good doing it. We don't have a lot of money when we first start out, just like a painter, a photographer, whatever the case may be. But anyway, I just had to say that. So, super expensive to get in a fashion show. I decided to produce my own. Yes. So with the money that I was gonna pay to be in a fashion show and be under someone else's control of the presentation, I decided to create my own fashion show. So this way, I had executive power over how I wanted things to be presented. I got the models. I would just stop people on the street because I didn't know anybody. I'm in a new place. I would just stop people on the street. I would find them on Instagram, whatever the case may be. I was making it happen. I got the DJ, I got the photographer, got a videographer, hair, makeup, got everybody that I could possibly find. I printed flyers, passed them out everywhere. Now my goal was to only get 100 people to come. I succeeded. I got about 120, 140. I went over my goal, so I was super proud of myself. And I just remember the next day just saying, man, I did it. I did it. Now it was stressful. Putting on the show is stressful, but I'll talk about that later. But yeah. So 2017 was when I revived the brand. And 2019 was when I did my first show. And that's where I am today. It went from initially being a denim brand in 2009, went on a huge hiatus, and then 2017 is when I revived everything and I turned it into an elevated fashion brand. So it's not just denim. I use all fabrics. I make dresses, suits. I make jackets, pants, skirts, whatever the case may be. I make it, and I do it with these hands. Now let's move right along into certain things that I've done so far in my short fashion designer career. Now, like I said earlier, I produced my first fashion show, but I've also been in one other fashion show. And that fashion show is or was no other than New York Fashion Week. No big deal, no big deal. So I remember this now. At the time, I didn't have enough money to pay the entry fee, which was $6,000. Crazy, right? And I remember posting on Facebook like, man, this would be cool to go to, but I don't have the time. They needed that money in a week. And I remember my Facebook friend, Phyllis, she said, yo, make a post and we will raise this money for you. I guess people have been seeing what I've been doing, different images I've posted of work I've done, and they really supported me. When I tell you these people came through in 3 days, I had deposit, which was half, $3K that I had to pay. I had it in 3 days. These people rallied and got this money from me. And then I was able to, save up and pay the remaining $3,000 in a few months later. But to this day, man, I'm still hella thankful and appreciative that my Facebook family afforded me the opportunity to be able to present my artwork at New York Fashion Week. Now, it was a crazy experience. And I remember going there and, small town boy, I'm from Waco, Texas. I'll go into this facility to check in, and all I see is 5'10" models, everybody walking around, people dressed so fly and unique. And I'm like, man, I got imposter syndrome. I can't lie. I was blown away. I was like, am I supposed to be here? And I roll up with my little suitcase and the garment bags and like, yo, I'm here, like accept me. So I get in there, and as soon as I meet the models and everything, and how I saw how everybody was so cool and nice and helpful, I felt like I was supposed to be there. It was such a calming feeling once I finally met everyone, and everybody was so chill, so nice. I know you hear about the fashion world is so cutthroat, and you got the divas and everything like that, but like so far that hasn't been my experience at all. You know, I've had some negative situations with different people, but overall, the community is very chill and very nice. So New York Fashion Week did a lot for my notoriety. It opened up a lot more doors and put me in different rooms with different people, and just opened up a lot more opportunities for me just to be visible on that such a huge stage. So from that experience, I've been in several international magazines, and the main one that I've been featured in was actually Elle magazine, which was also really big. I remember when I got the email saying they were going to use my image to be in the magazine. I was just floored. I couldn't believe it. And I just really started thinking like, oh man, like I'm doing it. Like I'm doing it. Because I remember when I first started, I was like, man, am I going to be able to create the images that I have in my head? Am I going to be able to create something that can be in vogue? I didn't know. Imposter syndrome again. And, I've finally come a long way to where I don't have that feeling anymore because I'm so confident with what I've done and what I've created. But in the beginning, I had to learn, and I had to make myself go in these rooms with these people and let them know that I'm supposed to be here. Now, let's move forward to things that I'm doing right now. So I got my website, Cezero.com, and on it right now, you can go ahead and go on there and get a 1 hour session of personal styling. And I also have my custom garments available on the site as well, where you can book a 1 hour 1 hour custom styling consultation, and then you choose from different templates that I have on the site. It's amazing. I make everything by hand. All I need is your measurements, and I will cut it up and sew it together, ship it off to you. I'm in the future, I'm working on manufacturing some ready to wear so I can populate that on the website so people can just go on there, click, 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 purchase, purchase, purchase. Gonna get some hats, some basic dresses, and some t-shirts, some cool swag that you can rock wearing the brand, and so you can support and I can make a little change. And then also I am really excited that I'm about to begin my fedora luxury hat line. If you know me, and you will get to know me if you don't, I am all about my hats. I have so many hats, at least about 15 different fedoras, and then plenty of ball caps and things of that nature. And but I'm really excited to get my fedora hat off my fedora line off the ground, and that's coming really, really, really soon. Look for the video to why every man needs a fedora. That's coming up soon. But anyway, that's what I got going on. I'm also working on new collections, music videos, promotional videos, things of that nature. And of course, I want to have my brand to be an international brand, get some brick and mortar stores to pop up in several different cities throughout the world. All right, so I talked about how I got started, what I've done, what I'm doing, and what I'm doing in the future. So now, let me talk to you about some of the certain aspects of being a designer. Now, I know I said this before, but I got to say it again. Being a designer, we're still starving artists. We just have to look good doing it. Now when I say this, believe me, I would buy beans, pasta, and I would just cook that in a huge pot and eat it all week long because I had to put so much money into buying material. You always buying material because I always got to make new things. And of course, my style and my taste and having an elevated high fashion brand, all my material is always the most expensive material on the website or on the rack. Why? But I love it. I gotta look. Everything has to look A1. Everything has to be perfect. Now, let's talk about photo shoots. The only thing, there's a couple things I don't like about photo shoots, right? One, they're super expensive. Let me tell you why. The designer has to pay for everything. Everything. Everybody eating off me. I gotta pay for the models. I gotta pay for the video. I gotta pay for the photography. I gotta pay for the hair, the makeup. I gotta pay for the venue. I have to pay for any time we may need permits to shoot in certain places. It's me. So a photo shoot can be thousands of dollars. So, luckily I have some good relationships with people now, and I most of the time I don't have to come out of pocket for a lot, but man, it's expensive. So think about that. Also, I'm not around models all the time, like a lot of you people think. I think that I may be around models 1% of the time because I'm just in my little cave cutting and sewing, and I make it to the sample size, so any model of the sample size will be able to wear it. So I'm not really around models that much until it's time to shoot. I'm around one model every day because I'm getting married to one, but you know what I mean. That don't count. But yeah, I'm not around models that much. Also, the next thing, fashion shows, super expensive to produce and very stressful to produce. Now, when I produce it myself, I'm in charge of literally everything. The venue, thousands of dollars. The models, thousands of dollars. The photography, the videography. I have to rent sound. I have to rent lights. So many different props, seats, tables, caterers, alcohol. You got to think about all this. It's expensive. And it's very stressful to be the point man to literally everything that's going on. And I have a very high level of a high standard of how I want things to be done. So of course I stress myself out even more. But I wouldn't trade it. I love being a designer. But just like with anything, there's always going to be ups and downs. The people of the industry, for the most part, they're cool to work with, but a lot of people are fickle. A lot of people. So I try to limit who I have dealings with and keep things in house, just because I don't want too many hands in the pot, and people knowing what I'm doing, and they get the chittering and the chattering, and I just gotta stick it. I gotta stick to myself. So yeah, and then being in shows is so much less stress. Like when I was in New York Fashion Week, I didn't have to worry about anything. I just go there, drop off my outfits, bloop, and then they take care of everything. I just had to show up to make sure before they go out and walk that everything looked how I wanted it to look, with the looks, the fits, the accessories, the hair, things of that nature. But being in a show is great, but you just always can't control the presentation of it. But it's not bad. But yeah, and then there's gonna be lots of uh, late nights, early mornings, because I have a job. So, but I have to get things ready for shows, and have to get things ready for different events that I may be a part of. So, late nights, early mornings, a lot of frustration, especially starting off. You got to give yourself some time because um, you're not gonna be able to do everything perfectly. I remember I would have so many different let's just say frustrating times with my sewing machine, because I would jam it all the time and it would rip the material. I messed up so many garments before I made my first successful garment. It's insane. So if you want to get started into being a fashion designer, remember, get your money up, spend a lot of time learning how to sew, ask others, go to this local sewing machine store, see if they offer any classes. But the main thing is just do it. Keep doing it. You're not going to be good at first. You're just not. It took me so long to get to where I am now, where I just go in and I have confidence in what I'm doing. I remember having so much anxiety because I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to be a part of different events, and I wasn't even confident in my skills yet. So it was not a lot of late nights, nail biting, and just wondering and thinking, can I do this? And did I make the right decision when I decided I wanted to be a fashion designer? But I didn't stop. So that's my advice to you. Just don't stop. Sew something every day. Sew a collar onto a shirt every day until you do it. Sew a sleeve on to the body of a shirt every day until you perfect that. Put your 10,000 hours in and perfect the craft. Network. Get to know people. Because whether or not you need to network with them on a business level, or you need to network with them because you need clients and you need business. Do it all. Don't be afraid to reach out to people, ask questions, tap people on the shoulder in public that you don't know. Ask them, do they do this? If you see anybody fashionable, chances are they're into fashion. They want to come to your show. They want to buy something from you. Or they're in the industry. They might have an opportunity for you. Keep the drive going. Stay ambitious. And that's what I got for you. So I think I touched on so many things. I think this video is getting kind of away from me right now. But if you got any other questions, guys, make sure you leave your 2 cents and your questions down in the comment section. Make sure you like and share this video with anybody that's into fashion or somebody that may be thinking about being a fashion designer. I'm all ears for your questions. Let me know what you got. Until next time, guys, my name is Jamin Ceziru, and this is Not Too Casual.